Hi, in this video we will do a review of the verb to be in the past simple, which is was and were. So the verb to be has here two forms, the past and the present. So let's look at the difference between both. So in the past, as you can see here, the past of the verb to be has two forms, was and were. While in the present, it has three forms, am, is, are. So we use the past to speak about anything, as the name indicates, to speak about anything connected to the past. Yesterday, anything that happened yesterday, last month, last year, last week, 2 days ago, 5 minutes ago. So for example, I was sad yesterday. She was a student. We were late last month at school. The present is made of three forms, am, is, are. I am happy, he is rich, we are early, but all this here is to speak about the present, now, right now, or at the moment. For example, I was sad yesterday, but I'm happy at the moment. She was a student last year, but she's a nurse now. They were busy last week, but they are free right now. Now let's look at the next slide. So, how do we use was and were in the past tense? So, as I said before, the verb to be in the past simple is made of two forms, was and were. We use was mainly to talk about the singular pronouns. Okay, we use it with the singular pronouns. I, he, she, it, was. So was, it's mainly for singular. Were, it's for plural. We were, you were, they were. So, how do we make an affirmative or a positive sentence using was and were? So, I was happy, he was hungry, she was a nurse, it was big. As you can see, we use was with the singular. Now with the plural, we were early, you were at school, they were quiet. The negative, it's exactly the same thing, you just need to add the not. But if you want to use the short form, then you have to say wasn't instead of was not, or weren't instead of were not. So for example, I wasn't sad, he wasn't thirsty, she wasn't a teacher, it wasn't small, we weren't late, you weren't at home, and they weren't noisy. So now let's move to the yes-no questions. So, to make a yes-no question, first let's look at the positive sentence. They were happy. How can I make this, how can I turn it into a question? Well, it's very easy. I just need to swap the word order. So they were happy. If you want to make a question, you just need to swap it and put were they happy. Were they happy? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Why do we use were in the short answer? It's very easy because we have were in the question. So if you have were in the question, you need to put were in the answer because you need to have an agreement between the question and the answer. Now, let's look at how to make a question with was. For example, you have a normal sentence here. She was rich. So you just need to swap the word order. She was becomes was she. Was she rich? Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Again here, we put a was in the answer because we have a was in the question. Now let's move to the WH question. So as you know, we call it a WH question because the question words mostly start with WH, like where, why, when, how, who, etc. So, to make a WH question, as you can see, it's exactly the same word order as the yes-no question. So we have the were or the was, which is here. We have the subject, which is they or she here. And then we have the complement or the object. The only thing that you add at the beginning of the question is the WH word. So where, why, or when, or who, or what, and then you put was or were. Then you put the subject. So as we said before, with was we can only put I, he, she, it, or you can put a boy's name, for example Muhammad or Ali, or you can put Salama instead of she. And with were we use the plural, we, you, and they. But you can also put people's names, but it has to be in the plural form. For example, Muhammad and Salama, or the students. So when were the students at school, or when were the students sick? So as you can see here, you have some examples of WH question. Why was he angry? Where were you yesterday? When was she nervous? Who were those people? Now, a common mistake that a lot of students tend to make is that they put a verb after was or were. For example, they say, I was go yesterday to the mall. In English, we cannot say yesterday I was go to the mall. You have to say yesterday I went to the mall. Also in English, we don't say yesterday I was eat biryani or I was ate biryani. This is wrong. We say yesterday I ate biryani. So no verbs after was and were. Then what can we put instead of a verb after was and were? We can put a place. For example, he was at the beach yesterday. Okay, or he was at my house yesterday. We can put an adjective, for example, angry. He was angry this morning. And we can also put a noun. He was with his friends last night, or those were my students last term. So again, we can put a place, an adjective, a noun, but we cannot put a verb. In English, you cannot say I was go or they were eat. This is forbidden. So here a quick recap, a quick summary of how to use was and were with the different forms. So in the positive form, I, he, she, it was. You, we, they were. Negative, I, he, she, it wasn't. You, we, they weren't. The question, the yes, no question, was I, was he, was she, was it. All with the plural, were you, were we, were they. And the short answer is yes, I was. Or yes, they were. Or you were, or we were. And no, I, he, she, it wasn't. Or no, you, we, they weren't. Be careful. In English, we cannot say he didn't was. We say he wasn't. And we cannot say did she was. We say was she. Thank you for watching.